Greetings, iRacers and racing fans. Welcome to 10-4 Broadcasting. My name is Kynan Jones, and you'll be joining me here tonight for the High Octane Sim Series All-Star Race at Atlanta Superspeedway. Atlanta Motor Speedway just last year had been teared up and reconfigured ahead of the 2022 NASCAR season to help promote better racing, as the old racing surface had been degraded to a point where it wasn't really feasible and safe to be able to run on it for a long period of time. So instead of just keeping with the old pavement and just doing a normal repave, they decided to completely reconfigure it into a mini Daytona, the first intermediate superspeedway of its kind. So with that, it's going to encourage pack racing, but with that, it's going to also mean a very high likelihood of a big wreck, so drivers are going to have to stay on their toes tonight. Last week in the High Octane Sim Series, these drivers duked it out in the regular season finale, which also was the throwback week at Richmond Short Track, where Brendan Six was able to hold off an onslaught of multiple drivers trying to beat him, but for the first time this season, we had a driver achieve 2 wins, so good job on Brendan Six on achieving that and making himself really known to be the big contender going into the playoff pace. But that's next week. But tonight, here for the All-Stars race, where in the real life NASCAR All-Stars series, you may be able to pick up a bit of extra money. You know, $1 million is nice, but tonight, drivers who haven't made it into the playoffs, if they can manage to get a win tonight, even though they may not be in as of now, if they can get the win and be able to beat out all the playoff drivers, they will be able to book their flight into the playoffs. But if you're already in the playoffs now, you're going to be wanting to get a win and pick up an extra bonus points, which will help give you some extra momentum going into the season, or the real season, where you have to be able to fight well. But rolling off now, Julio Villalobos manages to snag the pole. Edwin Marshall in second, so good work to him. Michael Call in the third place. Nick Alford, who still has not been able to get a win tonight or this season, is going to be very hungry, starting in fourth. Braden Ward fifth. Brendan Fetter Place also has gone winless in the 6th position. Jeremy Richmond in the 7th. Good Pasture 8th. Bojanic 9th and William Britton 10th. But right now the drivers have something a little special going on to commemorate the unfortunate event that happened to commemorate the event of 9/11. The drivers will be doing a 4-wide salute here, so it's a good little thing to see. It may be just virtual race cars, but still something that should really think about. It's an unfortunate event that really shook the world, and it's something that we have to unfortunately live with in our history. But drivers have going to show their respect to it with a 4-wide salute, so I'm going to go a bit more silent as we have our little moment of silence. So drivers are now coming and reforming up. You can take this moment to really get yourself into the right mindset. It's going to be a long race, 211 laps ahead of us tonight, especially on a super speedway. The speeds are going to be high, but the risk of caution very high, so you really won't be able to have a chance to breathe. It's a tighter track than what you would normally expect at Daytona or Talladega, so even more drama to really think about. Stage cautions, lap 69, 126, and then checkered flag. So hopefully we can have some nice long runs. It's a bit more open than, say, a short track, which is more common to have cautions on, but with the cars being this close together, hopefully we don't have too many. Jack Wilkinson has been given an EOL, so he'll be starting at the end of the field for this start, but pace cars in, we're coming to the Geico restart zone. Green flags out, and we're going back to racing for the first time All-Stars race here in the High Octane Sim Series. Edwin Marshall getting a good restart on that outside lane. He's going to try make some sort of momentum, but the low line is going to be quicker around Julio Villalobos having the benefit right now, but you're going to need to get someone onto your rear bumper sooner. Nick Alford on the high line is pushing Edwin Marshall, followed by Better Place, helping Alford and Marshall be able to claw out ahead. Marshall's going to drop in front of Julio, and so far drivers have been able to keep it clean on this opening lap. Edwin Marshall being able to build a bit of a gap, but as drivers start to get a feel for what their car is feeling like, then you're going to start seeing some real strong pushes coming. Outside lane not really being formed up too well, but Nick Alford is going to be leading it. Better Place trying to give him a lot of drivers drifting up in the mid corner. From my experiences with the track, it's very easy to drift up, especially when you got to be careful when moving all around. The cars aren't wanting to stay straight right now, but Julio decides to go to the high lane thinking there's going to be more momentum up there. Nick Alford still staying up there. There's all multiple drivers moving up. Jeremy Richmond has gone to the high line and is going to try get some sort of side draft off the 53, but got to be careful not to get too close because contact will not go well. Current speed from the 98 around 183 miles per hour, so these things are moving on this mile and a half, but on that high line not being able to carry as much momentum as he wants. Dropping down below the 53, going to try maybe get some draft and pull out onto the high line, maybe try a bit of a slingshot, but 53 drifting way up the racetrack, 98 following suit, but luckily giving enough space. Julio Villalobos trying to get to the rear bumper of the 98, whilst Edwin Marshall stays in the lead. Michael Cole in the 89 trying to think about maybe going past, but at this moment in time, we're only on lap 5, it's still a long race, so maybe you just he's not wanting to stick around, wanting to go straight to the front, and is going to pull down in front of the 16. 53 is staying out on the high line, getting to the 98. So far, how has it really been from your perspective, Maddox? Have you really seen anything that may mix things up?
I don't know. We so far we've seen the 53 and the 98 working a little bit together there early on, but super speedway racing is a whole different animal. Especially with the new damage model now in effect, with the new build now behind us.
That is 100% true. So hopefully we don't need to test it out too much tonight.
As we've seen on the warm-up opening lap, the 7 did have a little contact with the wall. However, he is the first one has tested the damage model. However, this is pack racing, so we'll see how big it gets. Sector 25 is trying to push the outside line a little bit.
Good Pastor has decided to pull out of the little battle, thinking that there's a bit more safety in the back, but he's going to lose the draft being too far back. Robert Ballard is looking to also be a bit far back and will probably end up losing the draft if he's not too careful. Looking a little bit further up.
There's one thing that we're seeing here, that the leaders, even though they're in a draft single file, they're definitely not pulling away.
Yep, getting, looked like just coming off the banking, maybe just rode over the groove where the banking starts to transition onto the flat part of the quad oval, but they're really starting to hit up the racing 53, trying to block, but 98 and the 89 having a lot of momentum on that outside, 53 being pinched down low towards the white and red line, not going to be able to really do anything, but 98 is going to lead the race. All the 53 is trying to get up. He's going to close right up to the rear bumper for the corner. 89 having really no help right now unless Julio can get up closer behind.
On board with the 53, on the outside.
Pretty wide. The drivers have seemed to be able to keep it all going. Julio very close to being in the wall, but all drivers are able to keep it all together right now. Great to see. 11 laps in, so still a long way to go. You don't want to be getting into a wreck and using up that fast repair now.
Second pack being led by number 33, Jeffrey Goodpaster.
For a second I thought
6 seconds back.
just from my little camera angle, for a second I thought Nick Alford may have had his front bumper pushed in a little bit, but just a bit of lighting and with how the paint scheme looks, but everything's all good in the 95's life right now. Wow, top three have really been able to just break away from the little bit of a piranha pit back there. You don't want to be dipping your toes, because the second you give them a little bit of blood in the water, suddenly they're all after you, but...
Seeing the 89 there get a little squirrely off the two. Something I
William Britton
noticed
in
is
this...
that the outside line is actually the preferred line here in Atlanta.
89 getting loose again.
Very, very loose. In recent times, before they repaved and resurfaced and reconfigured this track, it was the low side that was the dominant line, but now at the super speedway, you want to be in the middle of the high side.
I remember running back here earlier this year in iRacing officials. It was Xfinity only, and I hated every moment of it. It was terrifying being this close, and unlike Daytona and Talladega, there is hardly any space, and then you're coming for the quad oval. I hated it already, but when you're in this big pack, it's not... I hated it every moment of it, and it's not easy to be able to go too wide, let alone 3 wide, but the drivers were able to get it through. But drivers seem to be fitting out a little bit now, really starting to just take it easy. Top 3 still keeping their 3-car breakaway. Edward Marshall running a little bit higher, Bojanic, which really first time seeing him up here running in the top 3, 2 different lines, but still able to just keep pace with each other and just keep the breakaway going. But throughout the entire field now, we see mostly single file. Nick Alford running a bit of a higher lane, maybe try and get some cool air to the engine, but so far our drivers just taking it easy.
See the 64 slip up, and entry 3 and 89 followed by the 20 and 95 on the inside, passing. 64.
That was that thing I was talking about earlier.
You see the 95 just clip the apron just a tad bit, and we see that draft, the 64, sucking back up to the 92.
Being able to carry Right now, you just want to try find any sort of teamwork that you can, even if you're not actually on team. If you can make your friends here and there and then be there in the end, they'll be more inclined to help you. So just making friends now when it matters, even though it's still a long race, a lot of things can happen. You can be wrecked or free wide. Got to be careful. 89 is just going to pull out and decide to drop back a little bit, drifting up the track slightly. Something might not be really to the 89's liking. Better place also getting loose. A lot of things going on right in this backpack now as there's a big gaggle of cars.
I think if these competitors get single file, they can catch that leader. The leaders, I believe, let's see, a second and a half. Fourth place, a second and a half, at least from third. Meanwhile, the 64, he's glued to that 92. 95, look out for it.
Something to note, I was just scrolling through a couple cars inboard. Edward Marshall and Brendan Fetterplace all running in 4th gear whilst everyone else is running in 5th. You're going to be heating the engine up more by doing that, but you're also going to be burning fuel, whilst the other drivers are going to be able to save that extra bit of fuel and keep their engine nice and cool. So maybe there's pace to be found. You can use a lot more of that pure engine power and then get right up to them, but do it too much and then you're going to have issues. Bit of a two-way breakaway between the 16 and the 98, pulling away from Organic in the 8, but looking a little bit further back into the 4th position, Isaac Emerson currently just staying ahead of the 95, gaining on the 8 and more crucially gaining on that lead pack. Just little by little picking up those couple of tenths from just keeping it all single file, and with that lead pack losing that extra car, it's going to be haltering their pace and really progression a lot. But it's going to be interesting to see if the 92 decides to stay behind the 8. Nope, going to drop down low. The 8 maybe just deciding to just give it to him, but the 8 is going to just file back. 64 deciding to stay down low as the 8 will continue to drop back. You spoke earlier about the 7 having issues in qualifying. He's now going to be lapped, staying out of the way of Jeremy Richmond, currently in the lead and filing in behind Edward Marshall. So all things considerably clean and just safe right now, but we've seen cars starting to get loose on corner exit, especially out of 4, so maybe as the tires start to wear down, it's not like your typical super speedway, so tire wear may be in effect a bit more. So, and I have seen on super speedways this thing can break sideways on you, and once you start slipping sideways, it's not easy to catch with these pinion steerings. I've mentioned it multiple times in 10-4 broadcasting, especially with high octane, but you start getting sideways and you just put a little bit of wheel in, you think it's all good. If it was the old Gen 6 car, you'll be fine, but in these next gens, you're up in the wall. Have you really got too much experience with the next gen so far?
Yeah, I've actually I run a league on Monday nights with Brandon 6. He's going to be kicking my ass a lot on Monday nights, but I've been usually learning from him a little bit here and there. As you see the 64 quickly for just a little bit and drift up the track. These next gen cars is just, for me, coming full. 64 is loose in the trial.
Yeah, I remember getting the car when it first came out. Feels considerably different, and then it got the updated damage model, but then this last update earlier this week, they have completely revamped how the damage model is done. It's gone off a lot more. How many times does the car get hit will then weaken components compared to just taking a hit and then it's broken. So hopefully it hasn't broken too much with the iRacing code, and I know I said it earlier, but with Super Speedway Racing, even though it doesn't look like Super Speedway Racing right now, looks more like, say, Auto Club or Michigan with how we have bit of single file and occasional car side-by-side action, but drivers just taking it easy and able to go 27, nearly 28 laps without a caution so far.
Ooh, keyword was so far. I mean,
Or 64 getting into the outside wall.
it's the second time he's touched the wall. But to answer your question, when the car first came out, I was amazed with it. And then we got the newest updates based on the newest data that provided, and I couldn't even drive it. It's just a whole different animal. It's like I have to relearn how to drive. And I was talking with Brandon Six a couple weeks ago. We were doing the Road to Pro, and he said, running the next gen cars, you have to basically relearn how to drive because they drive totally different. And I've tried a lot of that, but it takes a while. You can't just going in a new car and hope to succeed. I mean, you're doing that in a real race car to win the Daytona 500. That's 100% can't happen. As we see the 20 car on the high side, 89 and the 20 did switch positions. Second back for second.
Going back to what you were talking about earlier, how I'm really just jump into the next gen and then having to relearn it. Luckily, because of my iRacing experience, I've gone from 410 sprint cars to Formula 3 to Xfinity, and may as well just throw the next gen in there. And next gen is one of those cars I have not been able to find really any pace in. It's a car I really struggle in. 7 staying up out of the way again, real unfortunate, but if we get a caution he's going to be the benefactor, being the only car a lap down. But this car is one of the more difficult cars for me to drive. It's something that it's hard to really put into words. 1 minute you're tight, then next minute then it's just gone around and you're like, well, what just happened? Looking for
yeah, we're not driving the real car, but we're driving a simulation version that has as much data that NASCAR's provided. That's, we could be running whatever land was rebuilt on iRacing before it was redone in real life. I remember that California Auto Club is actually already done on iRacing, better than asphalt, to be rebuilt, repurposed, reconfigured on iRacing first, going and doing it for real. And that's something, that us sim racers, have the advantage of enjoying. Yeah, we call fantasy tracks. I mean, we've seen it in other titles, back when I was little, on the sports games. We always have those fantasy racetracks. But here's a coming to life. And the racing, especially with this next gen car, I mean, you just said it, it's hard to relearn and get re-comfortable after being in a Gen 5 car for so long. As we've seen the leaders now caught up. And actually the second pack here is caught up to the leaders.
98 being a little bit higher than maybe he might have wanted going into the turn. It was interesting to see if Edward Marshall maybe decides to put the 16 Ford Mustang up the inside slightly, but deciding to just behave and take it easy. But really, everyone's been just taking it easy. The only real driver that's been seeming to have some sort of issues is the 64 of William Britton getting up into that outside wall, but it doesn't seem to have hindered his pace at all. Edward Marshall way up the racetrack. 92 is going to get by. The 95 is going to slip underneath.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, those drivers that have the yellow banners are locked into the playoffs.
Yep, and those
drivers that have not the banners. So with 92, if he wins tonight, he's locked into those playoffs. So this is definitely going to be a
Absolutely.
different strategy type for those drivers locked in to the drivers that are not locked in.
I might actually go and see who is in the playoffs real quick.
And I believe
So currently, Brendan Six, Jeremy Richmond, Jacob Fifield, Christopher Schaefer, Nick Alford, Brendan Fetterplace, Julio Villalobos, Brendan Messer, Zachary Demias, Edward Marshall, Michael Cunningham, Paul Bajanic, Christopher Miller, and Ian Janicek. Oh. So, some drivers just announced over radio that they will be coming into the pits this time. So, gotta be careful and hope that no one else. Oh, really close. L20 gets into the 16. 16 is gonna have to try arrest some of that speed, but after getting that bump, might end up getting a black flag. Edward Marshall has picked up a black flag, so it'll be interesting to see if maybe race control clears it. Otherwise, it's not going to be quite a good night so far. Oh, and Edward Marshall is also going to overshoot pit box and is still going to struggle getting into it.
I believe race control during the drivers' meeting did tell these drivers they would not be clearing a lot of black flags tonight. The leader in the 89 is your leader, the 78.
Now, I've only just realized we are 40 laps into this race already.
Yes, and the first stage will end on lap 69. Originally scheduled for 68. Drivers have passed race control, pushing to 69. So race control and league vote came to play, and they agreed to lap 69 as we have leaders now in pit lane. 23 now takes over the lead.
Multiple black flags handed out. Reed Aeneas, Jeremy Richmond, Rafe Hatlin, so a lot of drivers making mistakes getting into pit lane.
He's going to be your race leader out of pit cycles at the 64 and the 95. 23 is now heading down pit road at the time. We talked about it at the 20 now. As soon as
Brendan Fetterplace running what should have been his throwback last week, but a little bit of a trading paints issue meant that we weren't able to see it, so winning his scheme tonight, which is why you don't see the playoff banners all over the car like you do on the 95 of Nick Alford on the outside, looking to go and take over the lead, but is going to need a good push from Isaac Emerson, but so far they're able to keep it clean and going side by side, but the momentum is going to stall out going onto the back straight, but suddenly you get that second win and then you're just able to suck right up. 95 is going to clear him, but deciding to stay with the 92 for now, thinking that the grass is greener on the other side as long as he stays with him. Still side by side. Nick deciding to stay up high. 92 not being able to get as close as maybe they both want, but giving all 92 very close to getting into the wall, so maybe the 95 and 92 might just file in behind William Britton. Looks like they have let off a little bit, but not falling in behind. Britton seems to be having a bit of instability under the car, but is able to keep it all together, and we're going to stay green. Nick Alford and the 92 of Isaac are going to be able to carry a lot of momentum this time by. Nick is going to clear the 20 again, but the 64 is going to give the 20 a bit of a shove on the back straight, but it's not going to be enough. Nick still deciding to stay up high. Normally would see drivers pull in below and block off the inside line, but Nick deciding to stay up where he really was getting the pushes, and so far it's worked out for now, but at some point, if the 64 can close the gap to the 20, will it be able to keep it going? The 92 is slowly being able to close up and nearly get clear of the 20, but just not close enough just yet. The 95 and the 92's momentum has massively died off this time by, so they're going to have to really be able to find an extra gear if they're going to be able to put up a fight again, but maybe it might just be worth putting it down into 4th gear. I'm looking at Isaac's in-car right now. It's currently running up in the 5th, but the 20 is going to move up. Or going to take a free wide. Nearly contact, but so far the drivers were able to keep it going steady and avoid bringing out a caution. Going to go back to single file. Brendan Fetterplace quickly gaining up onto the soon-to-be lap car of Robert Ballard Jr. Continuing to stay on the low line. How quickly are they going to be able to catch him, and how hard is he going to make to get past? Not making it exactly easy, but the drivers are being able to get on the outside and should be able to power around, but 32 keeping down low, and that's when you're a lap down. Best just to be able to hold your line, and been able to do that right now. 92 is also going to be able to clear, and so far that's all the threat that there really is of a lap car for the time being at least. With Marshall.
Well, we want to give you guys an update on that pit stop. We've seen EJ Marshall have problems on that pit stop. Looks like the 98 also had, the 98 also had problems on the pit stop.
As well as Reed Aeneas and Cunningham.
They both scored one lap down.
Looking back in the current 6th position battle between the 53 and the 12, but 53 got a bit loose on exit of 4, and it just meant that his momentum was massively halted going for the quad oval, and it meant that the 12 was easily able to power around him. Back up to the main battle. Hasn't really been too much of a battle. Drivers mainly just deciding to ride, just tick off laps, but Nick Alford is going to be in the lead, followed by Isaac Emerson, who these two drivers were, for multiple laps there, were just fighting on the high line, trying to get past William Britton and Fetterplace, but now that they're in the lead, now they get to depict where the lines go, but William Britton running a little bit higher up on entry, and it's meant that he's been able to close up, but with no help from the 20 just yet, not really able to put up a fight. But I say that as he's going to go a bit higher up into turn 3, not having enough momentum to put the car on the outside just yet, but things are starting to heat up. Lap 53, and with what, 15 laps until the caution, still plenty of things can happen, but with how things are spaced out, some drivers are going to want a caution, some drivers are wanting it to just go green. All 64 deciding to drop down lows, going to try separate the two. Low line is quicker, but you're going to need help just to be able to keep the momentum going, so Fetterplace needs to get up to the rear bumper of the 64 if they're going to want to think about regaining the 1-2 control. Nick Alford and Isaac aren't exactly, don't find it too alien to be running on the high line. having fought the 20 and the 64 earlier on, but the 64 and the 20 were in opposite parts of the track of each other, so maybe that's a little bit foreign to them, but so far the 95 and the 92 haven't been able to pick up as much pace as maybe they were hoping on the high line. William Britton is going to take over control of the lead of the race.
Speaking of leaders, looks like the leaders are starting to catch the second big pack in the race so far, led by a 78. I believe that is a 78. 39. 33 in there, 25.
William Britton has had an issue. Didn't quite catch what happened, so I'll quickly go back on my personal timing and see if I can find out what happened. So he was running on the low line and it just started to... Oh, okay. Got a little bit loose throughout the quad oval, which is a bit strange, but here we are, replay going right now. You can see Alfred and the 92 on the high line. William Britton trying to keep it down low. You can see it get a little bit loose, and then he's trying to keep it down low, and then he's just gone through the quad oval. And with a little bit of banking different, it just stepped out on him. Luckily, he was by himself for the most part and was able to keep it down low and keep it out of trouble, but going to file in behind the 20. Free, trying to just keep it out of the way, staying down low, actually flips the apron ever so slightly, trying to give as much space as he can, but so far the top four have been able to get past the 33 and now they're quickly going into this second pack where you don't want to be seeing them battling each other, so the drivers are able to keep it going this long so far. 10 laps to go until we get the stage caution. A lot of things can happen in that 10 laps, but with the cars starting to now get gripped up together, even if they're two battles entirely, anything can really happen. All it takes is a little apron flip, car starts stepping out sideways, then a bit of overcorrection, and then you're flying up and then bouncing off the wall into traffic. So hopefully I haven't just jinxed it, but knowing commentators curse, I probably just have. Hopefully not though. But the 5 lap cars, or soon to be lap cars, in front of the leaders, for the most part keeping a single file apart from Ian Janicek, who does drift up a little bit on the back straightaway, being really the only driver to be running a slightly different line from bit of movement going on, especially from the 23 of Schaefer. Got a bit loose on exit and moved the car around a little bit, but so far able to keep it going, all good. Lead car in this little second car breakaway, Rafe Hatlin, having had an issue in pit lane earlier, running the 18th position, or 17th position, my bad. 17th, 18th, very close numbers, so maybe if you can move yourself up a little bit of positions it will help out, but whilst this has been going on, the lead pack has caught right up. Janicek staying up high, out of the way, and is going to let Nick Alford get past. Not enough time for Isaac to be able to clear just yet, but Janicek doing the sportsman thing to do and just staying as far out of the way. But Janik is next to be ticked off the list of cars to lap, staying up high, out of the way. But now with these 3 cars in front of Alford, it's not going to be as easy, as these drivers probably don't want to be going a lap down, and once you go a lap down you need to be the lead lap car down to get the lucky dog. So once you go a lap down, then it's a battle to be the first lap down. Coming to lap 64 for those drivers who are about to be lapped, maybe just lap 63, but not going to have quite enough time to reach the stage caution. Reed Aeneas running a little bit higher up, looking to give the 95 an easier time, but Schaefer is not making it easy for him, holding Alfred up going into turn 3. Alfred having to get way out of the throttle to avoid making contact. But all this is doing is really helping Reed Aeneas, Schaefer and Hadlin, all drivers who need to stay on the lead lap, but Reed Aeneas gets into the wall ever so slightly, but was able to keep it going. Don't want to be seeing a lap car lose it in front of the leaders. Nick Alfred, as well as multiple lead lap cars, deciding to run on the high line. Just at this point, maybe just deciding to ride behind the cars around him. Nick Alfred still has not gotten a win this season. Looked like he has had the pace to be able to do it many times so far, especially at Homestead. Very close to getting it, but mistake leaving pit road meant that really dashed any chance of getting the win, so he's going to be hungry to get a win here tonight. But multiple drivers who aren't exactly in the playoffs yet are also going to be hungry, but coming on to lap 66, pit lane, or lap 67, my bad. Pit lane has been closed by race control. You can't make your pit stop now, so you better hope that you put enough fuel in to make it to the stage caution in 2 laps time. These lead lap cars aren't really trying to really push the matter too much. Nick Alfred sticking behind the 99, but 99 is going to go up high and have the assistance of the 95 to look to clear the 18 fighting it back on the inside, but no help. It's going to get the slipstream trained on the outside. 18 trying to get some sort of side draft, but not able to. Staying down low, trying to make the track as short as possible while staying in racing boundaries, but not enough help. But caution's going to come out lap 69.
Lap 69. This is your first stage break here this evening. We'll be talking to your stage winner as well as EJ Marshall and see what happened on that pit stop.
Bit of mix up in the grid. Nick Alfred was able to get stage 1 win, followed by Isaac Emerson in second, Brendan Fetterplace in third, William Britton in fourth, Michael Cole in fifth, Christopher Miller in sixth, Michael Cunningham in seventh, Brendan Ward 8th, Christopher Schaefer 9th, first lap car down, so he will get the lucky dog, and then Ian Janasek in 10th. Not too surprising to see Nick Alfred bring it down into pit road. Fetterplace looked to have maybe thought about trying to gain a bit of time, but saying not to really risk it. Some drivers staying out to get back onto the lead lap, but they're going to need to come back around and go into pit lane, because you do not want to be making an extra green flag pit stop on a track like this. All tire stop from Nick Alfred, so saying to not really try rolling the dice. You got to be careful getting out of pit road, especially getting up through the gears. Nick Alfred has experience getting some wheel spin on pit exit, so probably going to be thinking about that still, but is able to get out and is going to keep the lead of the race exiting pit road. Fetterplace is going to gain a position. multiple drivers which were a lap down coming into pit road, including the 12 as well as the 16, Edward Marshall. Oh, the pace car's doing weird things on my screen. Wait, no, Edward Marshall's going to stay out. Okay. Something's going on with my iRacing. That's interesting, but Edward Marshall getting back onto the lead lap, most likely going to bring it down, but on my end, there's a lot of sparking going on. Yep. Edward Marshall bringing it down pit road now. Edward Marshall, you got a copy?
Yo, what's up?
So, how's the race been going so far?
Race is pretty good. I got caught with a speeding penalty, which kind of screwed me. But besides that, me and Jeremy had a really good tandem draft going on early on in the race, and I know that he'll be starting in the back with me here in just a second. So hopefully we can work our way back to the front.
I mean, super speedway racing, really anything can happen, but going back to when you got that speeding penalty, I had noticed that better place had gotten into you. Was that shove really enough to give you a push, but going back to green, so won't hold you up too much longer? So was that really something that cost you a bit too much speed and made you get the penalty, or were you just going in too hot?
I wasn't expecting the bump for sure, but that's part of racing. I got back on the gas a little bit. I probably shouldn't have, just so he wouldn't get into me as hard, but it is what it is. We'll recover from it and look forward to stage 3.
I mean, you still have the car in P, so you still have the potential to be there in the end, so good luck, and we'll let you get back to your team.
Thank you.
So far, drivers are able to keep it steady on this restart. 89 not wanting to hang around, going to the inside of Nick Alford. It's going to temporarily get up into the lead, but with Nick Alford having the help of the 64 on the outside, is going to be able to power back around the outside. William Britton really being helpful to Nick Alford, but with these drivers starting to heat up the aggression a bit on this restart, now's the time to be able to gain any positions, find out where you can really push, and find any time you really can.
Yeah, I want to apologize.
Michael Cole.
Not expect the green flag to come back out that soon. I believe he is now in
In pit lane again.
Looks like BJ Marshall's in pit lane, the 23 and the 12.
Black flags for the 23 as well, so something has clearly gone on that I haven't really picked up on. I kind of wish iRacing would implement a feature where you can see what black flags are for, but unfortunately we don't have that privilege, so maybe one day, but for now, all big mess of cars going. No one's really been able to pull away too much. Maybe seeing how breakaways were possible, maybe drivers were going a bit too easy in that first stint, but 89 is going to temporarily keep the lead as the 95 is going to get a lot of momentum on the outside and going to nearly clear the 89 going into 3, but 89 fights it back. Nick Alford having the very big help of the 64 right on his bumper. It almost seems like on that higher line you're able to stay closer together without the car getting as loose. I say that as the 64 gets loose whilst being on the rear bumper of the 95, but is able to keep it all going in a straight line. 89 not really getting as much of a push from the 20, maybe Fetter Place just taking it easy, not wanting to cause a big wreck now, instead just wanting to ride and let the race come to him. Something that you can only really learn from patience and experience, so good to see that he has got that race awareness and just taking it easy, whilst Nick Alford is going right to the front, he's going to pull down in front of the 89. William Britton maybe didn't expect him, trying to follow him, but not being able to have enough really space to be able to pull down in front. But 89 is going to be able to get a big run out of turn 2 and going to be able to get up to the inside and easily clears the 95. 95 having pulled down away from the 64 potentially has destroyed their momentum and going to take a couple laps to be able to regain a 53 on the inside of the 95 now. Brothers so far keeping it all nice and steady, potentially feeling a bit better on newer tires, not seeing as many cars get really that loose, but looking a little bit further back to Jeremy Richmond, had those issues earlier on in this race, but just keeping in there. And Nick Alford is way up the racetrack. I look away for it, we're able to keep it going all clean for now. Yep, we're all good. But Nick Alford does have damage on his right side of the car, so got into the wall whilst we're looking back at Jeremy Richmond. Hopefully it isn't enough to be hindering him, but having lost that momentum, it's going to certainly mix things up going further on in this race. What this has done though is given the 89 really free reign at the front of the track. And Feta Place hasn't really been looking to pass him, instead just wanting to ride, but it has certainly benefited them. The 89 being really slow, maybe trailing the brake through the straightaway, just trying to help get the 20 to his rear bumper, as this lead pack is starting to catch up to Christopher Schaefer, who, having had that black flag earlier on in this stint, has meant that he's going to be the first car to be picked off when they do eventually catch him. Should be this time going into turn 3, deciding to keep it down, moving up slightly, which then has kind of spooked everyone, but they were able to keep it all going and nothing has seemed to have come of it, luckily.
You talked about how 89 was trailbreaking. That's actually one thing that I learned recently that will help the driver behind not be so swirly, because the back ends of these next gen cars are not flat. So that makes sure you bump in the right spot, so that way the car does not go around.
These next-gen cars also aren't the easiest to suck up on. Although saying that has been kind of hit or miss. One moment you're able to suck up this is messy. Bit of rubbing going on, but drivers were able to keep it all going straight. Coming towards lap 83, we have yet to have a caution. Next stage caution, however, if I quickly get up my notes, we'll be on lap 126, so we're still a long way to go. We're going to have to make a green flag pit stop still. 40 laps away from it, so still plenty of... we have a caution out on racetrack right now.
Alright, we'll check out
32.
Figure out what exactly that caution was for. All my notes says that somebody went on track.
The 32 of Rob Ballard Jr.
There we go, 32. This is where the new damage model. Look at that right rear tire. That is off the axle. Looks
not
like
going to be able to
his-
drive it back.
Looks like his job is done.
So from what I can see, just trying to carry speed through the travel and got into the outside wall, which has massively halted the momentum. A5 not having enough time to be able to react and has then viciously turned the 32 into the wall, which has then broken off a bit too many wheels from what you really should have off the carb. So unfortunate, but we're going to have our first unscheduled caution of the race.
And speaking of this caution, we're going to tell you about a good steakhouse place. This is Captain Jack's Smokehouse Barbecue Steak on Amelia Island. You can tell, look at that picture right there, amazing steak. The pulled, I think it's pulled pork or pulled chicken, or barbecue actually. Amazing wings there. Got the toast, your mashed potatoes. And if you're over 18, please your responsibility. Responsible. Wow. Looks like I have a little thing on my notes here. We have a little incident. This guy is going slow. But check out Captain Jack's Smokehouse Barbecue on Amelia Island. Down at 10-4 broadcast in Century. Who knows? I believe there's a contest going on right now for that. And then our next sponsor is Dubby. Gentleness Energy Blend. See the Dragonade there on your screen. I believe that is something that I have not tried myself. I know a bunch of drivers have. It's an amazing energy drink. To help give you nutrients and give you that kick that you need. And you know, with this caution, I see a couple cars that are now back on the lead lap. The 99, 78, 25, and looks, 25. And 3 cars that did take the wave around.
But what this caution also has now done is eliminated any real need to pit for fuel, so lights out are out on the pace car, so we will be going green this time, exiting 4, so going to be interesting. But I also see people in chat, so we see you, so go ahead, say hi. We do want to try acknowledge you, so just say hi. We will do our best to try acknowledge you. But green flag is back out. 89, or at least I believe, yes it is. Okay, my iRacing is really messing up right now, so that's not what you want. 89 being able to get out to a good lead. 64 filing in behind, looking to try or thinking to maybe keep it down low, but instead, oh nope, going to go up high, trying to run an alternative line, maybe thinking of going for the lead, but the low line hasn't fully developed, or gets into the rear bumper of Michael Call, has unsettled it, but just able to keep it all going. William Britton is not wanting to mess around and is going to take the 53 with him to the lead of the race. Earlier I mentioned making friends, but getting into someone this early on, we're not even quite halfway. That's not exactly how you make friends in a race, so you don't want to be doing that, because that will come and bite you in the rear end towards the end of the race. But William Britton seems to have maybe just decided to let 89 pull back, so seeming to wanting to readdress his mistake and hoping to not cause any issues towards the end of the race. So gotta respect that. But Jeremy Richmond in the third place, looking to the outside of the 89, getting a little bit loose in the mid corner, but able to keep it going. William Britton is going to go with the 89 or 98, going towards the front of the field. 53 not having any help on his own right now. 98 is going to pull down in front, leaving William Britton on his own up on the high line.
I believe these drivers have seen the 64 in the draft and get squirrely, so a lot of these drivers are trying to get around that. So the 89 gets a little squirrely at the 92 on the low side.
Looks like maybe there may have been a small bit of neck code, and it had to have been ever so slightly. Just from how the 89 jerked up, maybe saw the 92 putting it up the inside and got a little bit spooked, but nearly contact with the 64. That would have been very interesting on the radio chatter, but they were able to keep it all going in a straight line, luckily. Top 5 going all single file. William Britton a little bit further back in 5th position. Hadlin, who's currently a lap down, running 15th. Not wanting to really mess around and stay that lead lap car, but right now if you're going to stay on the lead lap or be in that lead lap battle to get your lucky dog status, you want to be in the midfield where you can kind of depict where the leaders are going. It's, even though it's a little bit sketchy, it's a bit of a small field compared to what we're used to here tonight. A lot of drivers deciding to just take a bit of a off week, just mentally refresh themselves for the playoffs, which will start next week for another super speedway of Talladega. So going from one very relatively small super speedway to one that a lot of drivers fear, not just in iRacing and the safety rating, but in real life. It's a track that is not exactly easy, and really anything can happen there. So going to be interesting to see, being the first round of the playoffs, who can really get it done. Back here tonight for the All-Star race. Right now, just to remind viewers at home what these drivers are racing for. If you win and you're not currently in the playoffs, you will be elevated and be given a free plane ticket into the playoffs. So if you're not in right now, win and you're in. Classical modern NASCAR philosophy. So some drivers who aren't currently in, going to be wanting to really stay around and want to punch their final last chance to get in. But if you're already in and you win tonight, all it will mean is you'll get some nice extra bonus points. So getting those extra bonus points will give you that extra momentum to take you further in. We saw it earlier this season with Brendan Fetterplace winning the preseason crash at the Coliseum, which then gave him an extra 20 bonus points, which may not seem like a lot, but in a season where a lot of bad things can happen, but also good things can happen, just having that little bit of point security will come in handy. But Christopher Miller has taken it to the pits. His night seems to be done, so real unfortunate to see him out tonight, but hopefully he can rebound for the first round of the playoffs next week. Having now passed the lap 100 mark, we're quickly approaching the halfway mark in this race. Stage 2 caution will be thrown on lap 126, so drivers are going to be really wanting to race to that point in particular. But currently the driver who will be taking that stage victory is Jeremy Richmond in the 98. Having had a bit of issues earlier on in the race, now running back up in the first position, having won earlier this season at Texas Motor Speedway, helping him get into the playoffs, but he's also had a bit of issues in other races, so a win here tonight will just help give him that extra bit of security going in, especially with Talladega. Anything can happen, so you want to have a bit of security going into it. Everyone seeming to be going single file for now, but how long until drivers start to go for it and really start trying to take a 2 wide, do you think?
Honestly, I don't think taking it too wide right now because we know what's at stake. We still got plenty of time to know yet. I understand but honestly, I don't see should be taking it too wide. Like the leaders, contact up front, 89 and 64. 89 hard inside
hard
wall.
contact. Caution is going to be thrown from race control. iRacing not determining it to be a caution, but luckily having a live race control is going to say that, yep, that was a bit too much contact for our liking, so we're going to throw the caution.
And we've seen that live, folks. Caution for that.
Just looking on my timing, that left front suspension and wheel is currently locked up, so real unfortunate. A lot of damage to the 89, who has been one of the front runners here tonight, but having taken that hard hit is going to really need to take that fast repair and just get the car all straightened out. But now that he's used that, gonna make tonight a little bit more dangerous. Driver to be getting the lucky. It will be worked around.
And we're gonna look at it here from the far rear chase. It looks like from my end that it was a neck code.
Oh, big neck code. That's really the first big moment of netcode that I've really seen this season, so maybe iRacing have addressed netcode slightly, but after seeing that, potentially not. But you see the amount of damage that it has done, that wheel not turning at all. Last I checked, tires are supposed to be turning on a race car unless you're locked up, which at that point you probably have bigger issues on your hand, but just see no steering right now, no real momentum going with the tire. You can see him turning in and then it starts to wheel again, but then having that wheel not really doing what it's supposed to, slides through pit box, but then once he gets in, you see it ping back to life and suddenly everything's all good. And I don't know what your D's are, but all I know is you hit a kangaroo here and suddenly you've got to call up your insurance to be like, hey, I need a new car now.
That's basically what it is.
So, yeah, steers, kangaroos. Just 2 extra legs, that's all it is.
Yeah, honestly, that's exactly.
And a smaller tail.
You see the 89 uses fast repair, which means his next incident, big incident, was in, at the end of him this evening. But I believe we do have some cars back on the lead lap. Double check, so you got the 8 to 64? No. 8. Back on the lead lap.
The drivers that are currently in pit lane are going to need to get a quick. Pace car lights are out and we are in 3 and 4, so we will be going green this time by, so don't have enough time to really be dilly-dallying in pit lane, so need to get out, get caught up to the grid, but with the amount of time left, pace car has now brought it down into pit lane, so you got to now be on ready to get back onto the loud pedal, but the bots have shown up right as we were going back to green. Jeremy Richmond getting really out of shape on that restart, but able to keep it going and get enough of a launch to be able to edge out. But someone's right up against what looks to be William Britton. Brenmore trying to make something work on the outside, but Jeremy Richmond on the inside having the draft benefit of the car in front, just able to suck up quicker, but then deciding to take it easy on the back straight. 53 then being able to then not have to lift, carries more speed, but then all getting really close to each other. 53 getting a bit of draft from the 92. 98 is not going to be able to fight it up the inside this time by. Brings the starting heat up again. Once you get one caution, suddenly things start heating up, especially when we're starting to close in on a stage caution. When you really need to start positioning your car for the final run. But 53 moving up the track, not sure if it was purposeful, trying to make a run maybe. But the 98 is just going to be able to slip underneath and really thank the 53 for moving up. 98 going underneath the 92, going to be able to clear him for now. 92 is going to get the draft benefit of the 53 also on the high line. It's going to push back by the 98 and going to slip underneath. 53 try to maybe follow, maybe not realizing the 98 was below him, but luckily they were able to keep it going in Australia, and the 53 is going to pull in behind the 18.
He's coming. You see him in the incident. Guys, I'm going back to my lead.
Someone else who was also running up near the front in stage 1, Nick Alford, getting into a bit of contact with Robert Ballard Jr. earlier on this stage, which then caused the first unscheduled caution. Is currently behind the 89, just taking it a lot more easy. Really two real packs going, but the 18 currently should be third or fourth on track, depending on when they're picking up momentum, but is actually in the 14th position, a lap down, so real unfortunate. No, my mistake, not just one lap down, multiple laps down, so real unfortunate to see him so many laps down, but not wanting to give up the chance of having some fun and wanting to run up near the front. But
Speaking of game changer, the 25 looks like he is he's on his way back to the lead, and guess what? He's right there.
89 trying to get by the 18, but with really no help on that outside lane, not going to be able to get it done just yet, but 18 going to be a bit slow out of the corner. 89 is finally going to be able to claw in and put it up put it down onto the low line and cut off really any chance of the 18 fighting back, but 98 going up the inside of the 92. 89 thinking about maybe going 3 wide into turn 1. Let me quickly check. I don't believe so though. So yeah, the 89 is not in the playoffs right now. He is in a win injury situation. It's the only chance he has of getting into the playoffs, so probably dialed up the aggression a lot more. And then with that incident that really had no real chance of really avoiding.
Oh, we have contact.
Oh.
92 with the 98.
It's still going on. Drivers trying to find where they can really place their car. Still contact going on. Looks like Schaefer may be in the wall. Or, yeah, Braden Ward. Oh, Julio nearly getting into the 53 as well as better place. So far the drivers have been able to keep it all going green, or at least for now, Julio, so far. But once we get into 10 laps to go in for the final stage, who knows what will happen. But for now, you would think it's the final 10 laps in the final stage, with how they're racing each other right now, not giving really any room to each other and trying to find out where they can really put themselves to benefit. Ian Janicek going a lap down is just keeping out of the way down low, many laps down at this point, so still unfortunate to see his night basically over, but unless we have a bunch of cautions, it's not impossible, but just now really unlikely. 92 and the 89 pulling away slightly, but when the drivers behind start getting into a bit of a groove, then how long is it going to be able to last with the pull away? We are quickly gaining in on that stage caution on lap 121, but 126 will be the stage caution and the final stage caution, so that could be the last real chance of getting fuel this race. So going to have to start planning out when you're going to pit for the final. Oh, they were able to keep it going. Netcode behaving itself so far today. Leo trying to make a march around the 98. Oh, 98 not really wanting to lift and lose any form of momentum, getting really close to getting into the rear of the Tony Stewart throwback, but so far they were able to not getting into each other and able to keep it going, but starting to see too wide racing again. But how long until either we go back single file or something dramatic happens and it'll break it up. Nick Alford leading that outside lane, trying to make something work with the 92. They've been working together really this entire race when they can, but pit lane has been closed. You don't have enough fuel. That's it. Just gotta make do. Put in the clutch, but there is no putting in the clutch and just coasting for our leader, 89. Trying to get the stage win. Our last stage winner of Nick Alford in the 95. Maybe just dropping back a little bit. Was running in the third position at the time of passing the start finish line that last time by, but as of right now, he will be down a couple more positions, only running in the fourth position. The 18 isn't actually a car racing for position. Currently just running for the sake of bit of Neko getting into the 53, but they're able to keep it going in a straight line. The 98 getting right up to the rear bumper of the 53, pushing them slightly, trying to make some gain on the 89, but 98 ever so slightly drifting up into the 18, making a small bit of contact, but they were able to keep it going. Stage caution.
Second stage. The 89 of Michael's call. New stage winner. He's available.
I'll let you take that interview away.
He's actually not available. Discord.
Some drivers not wanting to really be disturbed whilst in the zone, so completely understandable. I know I've been pulled up mid-race and it can be a bit distracting at times, but some drivers also don't mind it. But Michael Cole maybe might. Don't actually.
So I believe
that's
DJ Marshall will get the.
what? Given an EOL for something.
Is the stage winner end up going in the back?
On my end, it says he's got a black and orange flag. But I'm not too sure. There looks to be a bit of damage on the right side. Oh, something did happen. Right as the caution was thrown.
DJ Marshall will get one lap back, so he is one lap down at the moment. DJ Marshall not giving up at them, and who knows? We might see him at here at the end of the race.
So Michael Cole
Still a pit
was.
road.
Yeah, he got into the wall really hard right as the caution was thrown.
See if we can pull that up. Looks like he is stopping. And he towed back. Uh-oh. Problems for your stage 2 winner.
Yep, that's it. His last chance to make it into the High Octane Sim Series playoffs is over. Real unfortunate, he showed potential, but it's going to be the end of his night, unfortunately. Everything seems to be all fine and normal. The race control has extended the caution by a lap, so we have time. The car just went. Perhaps he had a screen go black and just lost all visual. It was very strange, but you can see the wheel is wobbling a little bit, so I'd say that's where the meatballers came from. But what the 89 having that small issue is going to do is it's going to give Paul Bojanic, someone who we saw up running in the third position earlier on in this race before falling back, then having to get the lucky dog to get back around Michael Call in the YouTube chat right now. 30 minutes of optionals, steering wheel bugged and drove him into the wall under caution. Yeah, I wasn't sure what really happened then. I was thinking maybe your screen went black, but when you have a bit of hardware issue like that, never a good thing. So real unfortunate, and hopefully you can get back out there and put up a good showing in Talladega next week.
I apologize to everybody. I believe one of
whole lot of technical issues going around. We will be going green this time by Paul Bojanic in the 8 will be taking over race control or control of the race in the first position, but on super speedways I've found even though you're the leader and you want to go early, get a good restart, sometimes maybe it's best to just let the green flag come out naturally, and then that way you can have the rear car closer to you. But coming to the Geico restart zone, going not really anywhere on that restart, maybe being in the wrong gear, it's going to allow Jeremy Richmond and Isaac Emerson to be able to pull away and get up into the first and second position. So far able to keep it all going. Big check up in the middle of the racetrack. 53 going to look at going up high, having the help of Nick Alford in the 95, but Nick Alford goes down into the inside lane trying to put it up the inside, is going to go up the inside now and going to try make a pass, but the 53 having no real help on the outside. Should be a fairly simple move, but 53, I say that as the 53 is going to fight back. What Nick needs to do is just be able to carry as much momentum, get sucked up into a slipstream and be able to clear the 53 as he's been able to do it. Going for the quad oval. William Brim has also taken it to the garage, so unfortunately his night come to an end. He had pace and just unfortunately wasn't able to really get it done, but Nick Alford getting right up to the rear and gives the 8 a massive shove, pushing them up in underneath the 92. Bojanic probably wasn't exactly expecting it, but was able to keep it going in a straight line. Nick Alford deciding to stay up high with Isaac. They've worked together all race now at this point, so when you can have your friends to work around, it can be very helpful, but Jeremy Richmond just letting them take it. So maybe something going on there. Don't see anyone with black flag, so everything should be all good. 53 fighting it on the outside. Nick Alford's going to go up the inside of Isaac, but Braden Ward tries taking a free wide, thinks better of it. Jeremy Richmond decides to follow Nick Alford on the inside. Isaac seems to just be dropping back a little bit on the outside, having not as much help until Breedenius catches up, which seems to be about now, but with how much longer it is left in the race, do you think it's worth just riding still?
I do. I still think it's we still got drivers, trying to get into the playoffs. We got playoff drivers trying to get to their extra points. I still think it's too risky to be running too hard still at the moment. And again, I want to apologize to the viewers out there. At the moment, we are experiencing a little bit of normally back up and running. So just bear with me.
Whilst you try to get that all sorted out, Nick Alford on the outside with the 92's help is starting to put up a charge again. 53 staying down low, trying to just keep it going in a straight line, but Nick Alford is going to make the high line work again, is going to easily clear now, just needs to get his teammate up and past, and seems to have been able to do that now. Just need to try to get past Jeremy Richmond, but maybe they decide to just ride Reed Denius up in the 4th position, but only momentarily, as the 53 of Ward continues to fight it back. Regenius is a playoff driver, so he doesn't necessarily need a win. He's already in, so probably just needs to take it easy. But one driver that does need a win, Isaac Emerson. He's had a couple of off weeks earlier this season, so good to see him back out racing, but he is on that bubble on which he needs to win tonight if he wants to make it into the playoffs. Regenius getting real close to the rear bumper of the 92, but backs off in the mid corner, keeping it all nice and steady. His caution is going to come out. I will try find what has brought out the caution. 23 in good pass though. Hopefully all the, yep, seems like we have got it all good now. So caution was Schaefer in the 23, as well as good pasture in the 33.
I apologize
Seems
folks
like
for that. But looks like we are back up and running. Barney Hall's got the yellow flag in hand.
Another two drivers that were looking to have had some sort of pace, but unfortunately weren't able to get up a replay on what exactly had happened. I'll see if I can get a replay up myself and just walk through what happened, but now I'm having a bit of difficulty finding it.
And looks like the 12 was disqualified. According to my stat sheet, he is listed as P20. I know the 12 did run laps, but the race control of Eric is scored P19 at the moment.
So the thing that caused the caution, 33 running up high, then coming down, 23 had then gone basically straight going into the turn. Maybe trying to get up into the second lane, but as 33 was coming down and they just come together, kept it down to a two-car mess, but real unfortunate for both drivers. A lot of damage to Schaefer's car as well as Good Pasture, who was able to drive away and get it into the pits, but that's going to be a fast repair use. Should be all caught up. If you're just now joining us here tonight, 211 laps in this all-star race. You need to really win if you're not in the playoffs. We may just be doing an all-star race tonight, but you make it in and win tonight, even if you're not in the playoffs as of right now, not in and you win, then you're into the playoffs. But if you're already in the playoffs and you win, you're getting a nice couple bonus points to help your little playoff chase fight going into the first round next week at Talladega. Oh, I think I may have just had a bit of technical issues. Okay, that was strange, but I'm not too sure what just happened with my Discord just then. It just kinda all bugged out. But I should be all back now.
Week 13 fire racing, so what a promise.
Yeah, there's been a lot of issues going in or going on tonight, but we are joined in the booth by Will Tiller. Do you have a copy?
Yes, sir. I am in the booth, rocking and rolling with you boys. I'm coming in about halfway through this race. Just listened to a little bit of what's going on here, but it looks like it's been a competitive race so far here in Atlanta.
Yeah, you could say that. We've seen multiple drivers have issues. Nick Alford had gotten into Robert Ballard after winning stage 1, so one driver that had issues, then our stage 2 winner Michael Call had a wheel issue which he's never had before, and it just meant that he went straight in the quad oval and got into the wall, and having already used his fast repair ended up finishing his night. So no, all 9 of Cunningham got a big hit from Bojanic, but they were able to somehow keep it all going straight.
Yeah, looking at the playoffs next week, who are the drivers that have basically raced their way into the playoffs so far, and who are the drivers to, I know we're on lap 147 here, but who are the drivers to really watch out for here at the end of this race?
Well, drivers that we were looking out for, Michael Call had issues, then Nick Alford having won stage 1 before getting into the back of Robert earlier in this race, but so far everything's been able to keep it going. But drivers who have been really competing up front, Jeremy Richmond been seeing, but right now Better Place has consistently been up near front. The 53 award, but being a super speedway race, really anyone on the lead lap, on the final lap, can really be in for a shot of winning. So even if your favorite driver right now is in the back, doesn't mean he's done for just yet.
Oh, definitely not. Still a long way to go here in this all-star race, and I'm joining you guys a little bit late here in the booth. What are these boys racing for here tonight?
So I mentioned it just before, but if you win tonight and you're not already in the playoffs, it means you'll be able to book that flight into it and secure yourself as the final last chance of getting in. But if you're already in the playoffs and you win tonight, it means you'll get a couple extra bonus points to help give you a little bit of momentum going into the first round at Talladega next week.
Yeah, I know that was a key point last year for last year's champion. Won those bonus points at the dirt track at Bristol. Came into the playoffs with those bonus points. Really paid off there towards the end. I'm looking at those stripes at the top of those roofs there. Looks like there's a few drivers up in that lead pack that haven't qualified for the playoffs just yet. So there's a bunch to race for those guys up in the lead pack.
A couple of drivers have either decided to not fully upgrade or update the design. Some may be running a one-off just for tonight, but then there's some drivers who are deciding to run the playoff logos, just showing that, hey, I'm actually here and I'm wanting to take it to you. Yes. Forward, I heard someone.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha.
So far, the pack is being able to keep it relatively all together. We have seen throughout the entire race that there has been a bit of a breakaway, but there is a small little gap starting to separate between Julio and Good Pastor being in that last caution, so good to see him still being competitive and maybe wanting to get track position instead of running towards the back where I'd say is a bit more of a dangerous place to be. But saying that, Jeremy Richmond gets a tap is saying,
watch out!
or he's going to have to be careful when coming back onto the track. They're able to keep it going in a straight line and doesn't really lose too much momentum, but drivers behind have to be careful if they decide to try going up to the high line, but so far they were able to keep it going. Good pass is going to be able to carry the most momentum, going to clear better place, and if he wants it, he's got to move his car down, which he does now.
Yeah, huge racing at the top of this pack so far. Just joining the booth here late at around 147. They're slicing and dicing at that lead pack. We saw 3 wide. We've seen cars getting loose up there at the top already as we come around the corner right now. Still Isaac Emerson leading this all-star race here down the backstretch. We've got Nick Alford right behind him as well, the admin here in the High Octane Sim Series as they dig down into 3 and 4.
Nick Alford has been working with Emerson this entire race, so maybe just deciding to just take it easy. He's already in the playoffs, he doesn't need to really fight, whilst Isaac does need to win, so maybe there's a little bit of teamwork going in. Hey, you helped me get up here, so maybe I might let you take it.
Definitely, I could see that happening here as we dig down the backstretch right now. We're riding on board with Jeremy Richmond right now. He's going to go to the inside of Nick right now onto 3. Going to ride that back bumper of Isaac Emerson down into the corner right now. Riding around 4 with Jeremy Richmond right now. He might go for the lead. He's thinking about the inside pass right now. We're going to cross that start-finish line here on lap 156. Digging down into corner number 1. Still thinking about it, but he still has Nick is outside.
53 around, Julio gets hard into the outside wall as well.
Man, I'm late to the booth there, guys, but this has been a crazy race so far. I can only imagine what the first parts of this race were.
Oof, it's been eventful, but you joined us right when things were really starting to heat up.
Take a look here at this. Take a look at this replay here live on 10-4 broadcasting. We'll see right there on the entry of the corner. It looks like the 53 just got clipped there on that back corner panel, sent that nose right into that topside wall. And yeah, right by the 78 there. And kind of, you know, these drivers looked like they were racing in the middle of the pack there. Is that something we've seen throughout tonight's race there on the the exit of those corners? The drivers not running out of room there?
Well, with it being the first intermediate super speedway, it's a lot tighter than, say, we go to Talladega like we're going to next week, but ooh, that's a lot of damage to the right side of the car. Surprised that it's really able to continue driving, but with it being a tighter super speedway, the space that you suddenly have really can close up a lot quicker than you think, and then with cars getting tighter than maybe you're expecting, and with how air can affect how the car's handling, a lot of different factors can play a hand, and unfortunately when you're racing this closely together, crashes are nearly inevitable.
Yeah, definitely with these next gen cars as well. The aero on these things are ridiculous, kind of, and you can bounce across each other. They really play with the cars a lot here. A lot of side aero from these cars, a lot of front aero as well. That bubble, as they always talk about there on the Cup broadcast. So a lot of things are working on these cars, and in that instance, it just looked like the 53 just drifted up and just ran out of room there. But right now, folks, we're ticking down the laps here at the All-Star race, and kind of, I cannot wait for the playoffs next weekend.
Oh, it's going to be very interesting. I've been keeping a close eye on who really is the one to really beat. Nick Alford has been very consistent all season long and just has not been able to find victory lane, so maybe he's trying to do like a certain little Xfinity driver did last season in real life, where it didn't win a single race until the final race, so maybe he's just doing something similar to that, or maybe he's just going to be able to pick it up when it really matters and hopefully get into victory lane sometime soon.
Yeah, when this thing kicks back off here, we're probably looking at around 51 laps to go here. So really a shootout to end this thing out, Kynan. Who are some of the drivers right there as you see in the mix? I know you just spoke about Nick there, racing up there in that top pack. But who are some of the drivers here with about 50 laps to go? You're going to really start seeing making moves here.
Well, Jeremy Richmond has been aggressive really this entire season, but especially as of this race, he's been taking it up a notch, but how much space can he really start giving out when everyone's starting to push very hard trying to find really a space to put the car and slip his way up by, but Edward Marshall, after having a lot of issues earlier on, back up into the lead lap, so we saw him running up in the top 3 for most of stage 1, but now is up there in the 6th position. Don't know why my mind kind of started to break. It's been quite a long race. So Edward Marshall, Jeremy Richmond, and really anyone on the lead lap when it comes to the white flag. Going to get interesting. Still have one pit to make still, but pace car is now into pit lane. Now drivers need to start thinking about where can they place the car and when do they make their pit stop. But Bajana gets off to a really strong restart. Is that going to then come bite him later on when Nick Alford can then get hooked up properly? But Jeremy Richmond on the low line almost looks like he was the leader with how far Bajanic is up in front.
Yeah, Bajanic with a huge restart there coming off of 2 right down the backstretch right now. He was cleared 2nd and 3rd heading down that backstretch right there. But you see the arrow coming into the car as we dig down into 3 right now. The 98 has reached that back bumper right there. That is Jeremy Richmond, a name that you just mentioned during that break there, kind of, as they cross the start-finish line here at lap 161.
Nick Alford, having the help of the 16 of Edward Marshall, is able to push him up to the front, but he has to then pull down in front of Bajanic. He should be able to do it fairly easily now. Does he decide to take Edward Marshall with him, or do they just take it easy and maybe drift down going into the turn, which it seems like they are doing?
Looks like it got a little dicey there on the entry of the corner. They're going to clear that car on the bottom there. We saw a little bit of contact there as they come off of 4 to that start-finish line here on lap 162. Nick Alford's now leading the way here at Atlanta All-Star Race. As you just mentioned, Kynan, he wants to go ahead and pick up that win here tonight, leading into the playoffs next weekend here on 10-4 Broadcasting. It has been a long season for these drivers as we dig down the backstretch down into corner number 3.
Julio, after being involved in that last portion, has made his way up into the 3rd position, quickly gaining onto the rear bumper of Edward Marshall. But one thing to pass, but without anyone, or one thing to catch, but without the help of anyone behind you, really, it's going to be very difficult to pass. So he's going to need to pick up the assistance. By looking into the YouTube chat, Brian Messer saying Isaac Emerson plus 200 wins. Well, maybe he can get a win tonight, but I don't think there's enough races left in the season to get 200.
Yeah, right now you see him right there in that 4th position. We're going to cross that line here at 165. They just tapped nose to tail right there. You saw Isaac get squeezed in the middle of that ice cream sandwich right there, coming off of turn number 2, now heading down the backstretch. Looks like Marshall's thinking about overtaking for that lead, going to wisely file right back in right there. As nope, we're back up to the top pack here as you see Nick Alford's going to lead EJ Marshall around the track here, around corner number 3, around 4. You see that 16 keeps feeling out that air there, kind of thinking about making a move. Wisely's just going to follow Nick down into corner number 1.
Well, right now the top 3 have got a massive breakaway from the rest of the field. It's where you want to be. If this race does start going green, you want to be up front. But do you really think taking tires now when we do that, make that final pit stop, is really worth it?
I think so. From the races that I've called so far this season with these next-gen cars, the tire factor really comes into play. I've seen drivers take 2 sets. I've seen drivers take no sets of tires. As we see right now, they're starting to bunch up for that. It looks like the 4th position. They're just racing each other. They're battling it out. With freshies on there, once those things get warmed up, you have so much more speed than the guys with old tires there. I think it's really worth a shot at taking 4 sets of freshies there.
One thing to take into consideration with that call, this is super speedway racing, not your typical intermediate or short track. So even if we do 100 laps, especially at Daytona, you can do 100 laps, and the types only lose like 2% of their potential wear, but looking back at this little pack right now, 99 and the 20 do get into each other, going for the quad oval slightly, but able to keep it all steady.
Yeah, right now it looks like that is Jeremy Richmond leading that pack down into the corner. He's bracing that middle line there on the X. You see Isaac Emerson mixed up in that as well, I do believe. Right now, they touch doors coming off of 4. It is Jeremy. It looks like Jeremy Richmond's caught up into that. A bunch of drivers mixing in this pack. They're really racing for, it looks like, about that 4th position there, kind of.
Yeah, right now they're just trying to find any form of track position. But once things start closing in, and if we get another caution, with drivers changing lanes as we see the 92 putting it to the inside of Jeremy Richmond, like what he has done to the 92 before previous in this race, how long are these drivers really going to be able to keep it green? These drivers do know how to race each other and race each other closely and for long periods of time, but something's got to give eventually. If you beat on a suspension component enough times, eventually it's going to fail.
Now, Kynan, I want to ask you, as we're coming off of corner number 3 into 4 right now, about to cross that start-finish line here on lap 170. This is the All-Star race for the High Octane Sim Series, live on 10-4 broadcasting. We're broadcasting live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch as we dig down into corner number 1. And Kynan, I wanted to ask you real quick, if you're one of these drivers here in this pack, you're really battling for about the 4th position, 5th position there. Do you like where you're at right now, kind of coasting around, knowing you're about, right now about 4 seconds off the lead guys there? Or are you really starting to get antsy inside of that race car? Are you really trying to make those moves, trying to find your draft partners and catch those leaders here at the end of the race?
Well, for me personally, every time I go into especially a super speedway race, I'm trying to find, okay, who can I really work with? I know a couple of weeks ago I started a next gen league, and it was at Daytona. I was just trying to feel out what the car was doing and figure out who I can work with, feel where I can take runs, but then unfortunately it didn't really work out. But I like to feel it out, and then as the race progresses, I don't really want to separate more than a second from the lead pack, but I also don't want to be really making aggressive moves, just instead taking it easy. So I would be the car probably 4 cars back from this lead car in this second pack, being a bit more anxious, if anything, seeing the lead 2 cars going at it as much as they are. It's good for the viewers at home, but it is very, very scary when you're behind it and you're seeing it. But Jeremy Richmond seems to have calmed down maybe, and the 92, and I say that as he gets very loose, and there's going to be a caution.
And we have a wreck on the front stretch there, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like that is the 98
Jeremy Richmond.
There. Jeremy Richmond, as you just mentioned, just went totally 360 like Tony Hawk there on the front stretch. Made hard impact there on that topside wall. You have a break in the action right now. We're going to go ahead and get that 10-4 broadcast and replay revved up for you here. And you see, I'm seeing it delayed on my screen, folks. You'll be able to see it on your screen in just a second. Looks like Jeremy went way low there, kind of. I'm not sure what he was trying to do, go 3 wide there on the front stretch. You'll see it now if you're watching live along with us here at 10-4 Broadcasting. Yeah, see him coming.
Try to save it.
Yeah, loose off of 4 there. Tried to save it, hit that apron. And once you hit that apron, though, kind of, you're ice skating at that point, pretty much.
Oh. Didn't realize someone was flipping.
It looks like yeah. Looks like those cars may have checked up to watch Jeremy Richmond get sideways there, and they made contact with each other there. That's the 32 and the 99 there. And you see, actually, I think that incident may have happened in front of the 98. After the 98 spun, that happened just after that. Take a look there. You see the 98 get loose sideways on the track, and this happened after that. Looks like the Home Depot race car of the number 20 was tagged up in that as well, kind of.
Yeah, Better Place not running his usual Bang energy drink Camry scheme as he's running his what was supposed to be the throwback design for last week, but a bit of train paints issues meant that we couldn't actually see it, so running it again tonight. So That's why you see him running his throwback design from last week.
You see right now we have a break in the action, and we're looking at Kynan with about 40 laps to go here to end out this All-Star race. I believe, if it's okay with you, I think it's time that we maybe bring up the admin here of the High Octane Sim Series to get his take on the All-Star race and the season so far, if that's okay with you.
I'll let you take it away.
All right, so we have the admin, we have the boss here at the High Octane Sim Series joining us here on the radio. And Nick, you got a copy?
Yeah, I got you guys.
Hey, man. I'm joining here late. I got in the booth here at lap 147. I'm excited to be back here at High Octane, Haas, if you will. What's your take so far here on this season, and your take on this All-Star race here so far?
Man, the season's been fun. It's been a lot of really good, close racing. We've had a couple bad weeks where people have lost their tempers and just caution fest. But as far as this race, honestly, I'm really surprised with how clean we've all kept it. It's been really close battles and just great racing all around.
Yeah, I've seen it so far. As mentioned, I joined around 147 there. I saw you guys racing 3 wide, tapping each other just a little bit. But as you just mentioned, you were able to keep it clean here so far. And talk about keeping it clean, you got that 95 there up in the lead. What do you think your chances are here the rest of the way? And other than yourself, who do you think is going to take home the championship here once we start the playoffs?
That's hard to call, man. Like, it's everybody's so close when it comes to skill level. Everybody's so close on every track, so it's kind of a hard guess for today. I'm not I'm not putting any money on it, but it'd be nice to take home a win.
There you go, Nick. And I think I'll go ahead and announce it, man. I think I'm excited to say it as well that I'll be joining Kynan up in the booth here next week to kick off the playoffs here at Talladega, man. I couldn't be more excited to join you guys once again here at High Octane. You guys run quite an organization here, exciting races throughout. I couldn't be more happier that you're welcoming me back, Nick. I couldn't be more happier to be up in the booth.
Yeah, definitely. We're proud to have you back. We missed you.
Awesome, man. Well, I'll let you go strategize the rest of the way here, and we're about to go green flag racing here, Nick, so I'll let you go back to it, man. Good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Nick Alford leaving it relatively late before getting on the loud pedal, but is going to be able to easily clear Julio on the outside and is going to maybe pull out a bit too much of a gap for what he maybe wants going through turn 1 and 2.
Yeah, that was a huge restart for the 95 as he's going to go solo dolo down the backstretch all by himself. A lot of movement there for the positions behind him, though, Kynan, as we dig down into corners number 3 and 4 right now. You see that 99 still in the mix right there after just making a little bit of contact. Still racing behind these guys here as we're going to cross that line here at 178.
Bojanic being very aggressive and is going to put his car up the inside of the 99 and Julio in the 78. Going to maybe think about putting it up the inside of Nick Alford as well, but Alford going to the high line, going with the 78 and the 9, all very close to making contact between the 8 and the 95, but they're able to keep it all together. The 95 nearly getting up into the outside wall. Edward Marshall on the inside with Bojanic, keeping it all nice and steady, trying to work together and maybe get the inside line forming, but better place in the 20. Home Depot throwback team needs to get up there and work with them together.
And it looks like the 9 of Cunningham's having a difficulty keeping that thing here on the track, difficulty keeping pace, if you will. Here's the last car on the lead lap here. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take that thing down pit road, park that thing here. He's going to be 1 car down, so it's going to leave Jeremy Richmond as the last car on the lead lap there in that 98 machine. But it looks like the 95 and Nick Alford has a battle on his hands right now. As it looks like that 8's going to try to the inside right there as we come off the corner there down the backstretch. Looks like we have a new leader. He's going to use that side draft to try to get around as we dig down to 3.
A lot of aggressive pushing going on now. We don't need to make another caution for the rest of the race, so now you just need to gain all your positions on track, but with how they're racing each other, it's starting to look like a caution won't be too far off, but they know how to race each other. We've seen that they do know how to be fast and clean on a super speedway. I remember back from the Daytona Money Race, if you remember, how many months ago was that now? They were able to keep it going for long stints, and it was some very good racing. So we don't have the person who won that race here tonight, but maybe Nick Alford might be trying to get into that winner's lane, victory lane finally this season.
Yeah, trying to put that 95 into victory lane there. Nick's one heck of a driver and one heck of a boss here in the High Octane Sim Series as we're coming off the corner right now. Down that backstretch there. They're side by side once again. Nick's up there on the outside lane down into the corner there of 3 and 4. Still has a battle on his hands there, right there with that 99 as on the backside of him. That 33 is trying to make a move on the inside. Really a lot of slicing and dicing here as we cross this line here at lap 183. Nick's trying to still hold on to the lead as we dig down into corner number 1. He's going to lead them down into the corner, but still a fast lane there on the bottom there, kinda.
A lot of movement going around, especially on that low line. You got to be careful with how much you're moving around, not to move up and get into the car above you. But so far they've been able to keep it all going nice and steady. But the 95 and the 99 being able to now start to pull out away from the rest of the field. Jeremy Richmond, after having that issue, is currently running up in the 3rd position. Then Nick Alfred's little old friend, the 92, up in 4th, but Better Place also having gone winless besides preseason clash race, still fighting, trying to get up into the real season victory lane, but no real chance when you're that far back right now, especially as we're starting to go single file.
Yeah, and you watch the 99 right there on that corner, the entry of 3 as we cross this line here at lap 185. Checked up a little bit on the 95 there, wanted to stay behind that back bumper, had a huge run going on, but you'll see it right now. The 9 tries to drift up the track a little bit. That is a lapped car of Cunningham. We saw him just a little while ago have problems, but you see it right now kind of on that backstretch. The 99 is going to come right on that back bumper of Nick, has a huge run. Going to check up just a little bit to make sure he stays inside of that draft bubble as I just spoke about a little while ago. Still going to ride that 95 to that start finish line here at lap 186. And as you just mentioned, they're 1, 2, 3, 95, 99, and 98 leading the way here down into corner number 2.
Looking a little bit further back in the 8th position, or 8th position, or what was previously 8th position, Brendan Fetterplace, who I was just talking about, is all nearly gets turned by the 8.
And you see that 20's beating and banging there. You saw that 20 just have an incident not too long ago. Has worked himself back into contention as well. Not too far off the pace right up there, but it looks like on the grid there that 20 is a lap down. Yeah, the 33 and the 20 are a lap down. So lapped cars are really battling it out here in this lead pack. With it being an all-star race, I don't think race control minds it too much. If this was a regular points race, they would probably be asked to get out of the way. But they're up there battling it out here with the leaders. Oh man, we almost had an incident there on the front stretch.
Very close to being a potentially very big accident, but they were able to keep it all together. Only 7 cars on the lead lap as of right now, but if a caution does come out, Brendan Fetterplace will be elevated and be the 8th car on that lead lap. Good pasture. Oh,
yeah,
the 8 of the Genic getting into the rear of the 20.
Yeah, that 20's causing troubles there up in that lead pack. It's just going to be good news for those 90s cars up there. I love the 90s just like the cars up in the lead love the 90s as well, as we have the 95, 99, and 98 up there leading this race.
Isaac Emerson. I called that off in the back of the screen. He has steering damage.
Right now with 23 laps to go, we're coming around corner number 4 to that start-finish line here with 22 laps to go in the High Octane Sim Series All-Star Race. Has been a long season so far for these drivers here. I'm sure these drivers are locked and loaded for the playoffs next week as we head just a little bit up the East Coast to Talladega to kick things off here in the playoff season number 2. But right now, we're going to crown a champion of the All-Star race right now as they dig down into quarter number 3. It is Nick Alfred leading the way there, but he's got the 90s brothers right behind him in the 99 and the 98. They're just keeping their time right behind that 95 there, kind of, but I'm sure we're going to see some moves here to close this thing out.
Yeah, as we start clicking laps away, we may only be on, right now, 191 out of 211. It's still quite a long race left, but with how the drivers are starting to really start dicing with each other, finding who they can really dance with, and hopefully not get into a little bit of too much contact just yet. I never really thought dancing was that much of a contact enjoyment, but these drivers right now seem to be making it, but right now they're able to keep it going green, but how much longer can they keep it going?
Yeah, with 20 laps to go, this is the time to shake and bake. Shout out to Ricky Bobby as we dig down into corner number 3. They're a single file there on that inside lane. You still see the 20 car in the mix up there. Of course, ladies and gentlemen, that 20 car is a lap down. No contention to win this race here tonight, but definitely causing troubles there in that lead pack. Just bodes well for the leaders here as you see that 8 separate just a little bit. That is the 8 of, can't pronounce that just yet there, kind. I'm sure I'll get it down by next week there, but the 8's definitely putting his name in the mix as well as we dig down into corner number 3, around 4 here with 19 laps to go.
Janik earlier on in this race was running up in the 3rd position, so he has got experience with running up in the top 5 this race, but getting very loose again, and the 20 getting into the back of him, but is going to go below the 98 and is going to try and make a pass with him, but Better Place is going to follow the 8 and trying to give him the bumper. Got to be careful not to get him too unsettled, but able to keep it all going. Julio Villalobos goes in below 20 up in the wall. Cunningham gets into the 33 slightly, which then continues 33 up into the outside wall as well, but they're able to all keep it going in a straight line.
Yeah, right there. We almost had a BOGO action, a 2-for-1 right up at the top there. You saw the 8 going on the inside of the 98 of Jeremy Richmond. Just couldn't overtake there. Kynan was really looking for a teammate to push him around. It looks like the 8's right back up there on that back bumper there as they come around corner number 3 to corner number 4 right now. There is a race right now for position number 4 on the track.
Oh, very loose. Oh, netcode.
Oh no, they made contact. We have a wreck on the front stretch, ladies and gentlemen. They just wrecked each other for position number 4. Oh my goodness, that is not what you want to see right there. They bounced off each other there on the front stretch, made hard contact with that outside wall. With 16 laps to go, that is not what you want to see here. You've been racing this thing out here all night long. Shout out to Lionel Richie, and then you just bang each other there on the front stretch.
I was watching Julio for the past couple laps and had the perfect camera angle to see that Neko massively had a big part in the contact.
Take a look here as we rev up this 10-4 broadcasting replay for you here. Take a look here. We do want to appreciate everybody for tuning in here tonight. If you're watching along with us here on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch, or just listening to the audio version of tonight's race, we do appreciate you tuning in here. We want to invite you to tune in next week as we kick off the playoffs here in the High Octane Sim Series. We'll take a look what happened here at the battle for the 4th position here, Kynan. These drivers were really wanting to go for the win here in the All-Star race.
Yeah, when things start, you can see him on the high line, tries to keep it going, but then a little bump and then just unsettles. He's tried to keep it going, but then came down ever so slightly, then massive netcode with Julio, and then that's just caused them both to get massively collected. Then Cunningham,
we'll see.
I don't actually know what happened with.
Yeah, we'll have to rev that back just a little bit to see exactly what occurred there. It looks like the 78 made contact with the 8 there. Maybe caught that side draft a lot and then bounced off the 8 there on the top side wall. And when the 78 tried to save, then made contact with the 9 of Cunningham, it did look like there on that replay. And you see the 78's going to catch that side draft, get sideways. Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely looks like there's a little bit of the ghost of Atlanta Motor Speedway came into play there as well, as it looked like they just slammed that 78 into the side of the 8, and then the 78 made contact with that lapped car of the 9 there at the low side of the track. But with 16 laps to go there, we saw that battle ensuing behind those leaders for the 4th position. That's really going to end it as a 3-car race, I do assume, to end this thing out here tonight. You'll see those guys there on that restart. And we'll see how much of a restart they get there with about 14 laps to go. We may have had... Looks like some drivers... Yeah, headed down pit road, or there's a little bit of a change on the grid there.
No, it definitely seems like some drivers may have came into pit road. By looking in YouTube chat, I'm sorry if I butcher your name, Curiel Racing, damn lap car. Yeah, it's something that we never want to see, especially when you're one of those lead lap cars and you're trying to fight your own race and then have a lap car interfere. It's real unfortunate, but there doesn't seem to have been any intention in it.
No, and those lap cars were battling it out there just as well as the leaders. I'm sure if this was a points race or any other race during the season, those lap cars probably would have been told to get out of the way, if you will. But right now it is the all-star race. It is the time for these drivers to let loose, have a little fun on the track. But as you mentioned, Kynan, for those drivers that haven't qualified for the playoffs, this is it. This is your last chance. This is your Willy Wonka golden ticket to make it right here. And I'm joining this season late here. Are there any drivers up in the mix up there that want that golden ticket here tonight?
Right now, really, the only driver that I can think of that really has the biggest shot of making it is Isaac Emerson. He missed multiple rounds earlier on in the season, and that has really cost him the chance of getting in on a normal points race. But the other driver that can really fight his way up is Jeffrey Goodpaster. He had his issues earlier on, but has been able to just keep his head down and is on the lead lap, currently running in the seventh position. But pace car is back in. Don't have much longer to go before we find out who will make it into the playoffs and who doesn't. Isaac Emerson gets off to a decent start, but probably not as strong as maybe he wanted. Nick Alford on that high line was able to get off to a good start compared to others, but able to break away from the rest of the field.
Yeah, as Isaac's going to lead them out of corner number 2 right now with a single file down the backstretch. Nick Alford's right behind him as well. See, big run out of Jeremy Richmond's going to push that 95 along. Got to think about the inside lane there. And wisely file right back behind Isaac Emerson. I'm sure right now that 92 is sweating bullets inside of that cockpit, knowing this is his only chance to make the playoffs right now as they come around that start-finish line here. We got 11 laps to go here as Isaac's going to lead them down into corner number 1. So has Nick Alford right behind him. Jeremy Richmond in the 3rd position right now as we go down the backstretch right now. Still single file digging down into corner number 3.
Jeffrey Goodpaster is the only car to be running on the second group from everyone else, trying to make it work on a higher line, but just having no real luck. And even if he is able to get alongside, he's then going to have to find a gap in between traffic and pull down. But all this doesn't really be able to keep it all going straight, but that could have been very bad.
Yeah, right now Isaac Emerson has a lot of work to do as we're digging down into corner number 3 with 10 laps to go. He's going to have to try to block both sides of these lanes right now because Nick and Jeremy Richmond can really pick anywhere on the track to make a move on Isaac. They can go low, they can go high. So Isaac's really going to have to have his spotter help him out here on the track. As you just mentioned, looks like there's a big run there on the outside right now. This is really going to help Isaac if they can put their names in the mix for that 2nd position. Kind of cut off Jeremy and Nick up there as we head down the backstretch.
Jeffrey Goodpaster has really came from basically nowhere, started 7th on the restart on the inside lane, and then currently running up in the 4th position, trying to get alongside and pass the 98, but all very close to making contact with Reed Neas in the 99. Might have to just file it back a little bit lap 204 of 211, so time is quickly running out for the 33 to be able to make a move and get his way into the playoffs.
Yeah, and shout out to the 90s there. I'm a 90s kid, but the 90s are now leading the race here once again. We get the 92 of Isaac Emerson, the 95 of Nick Alford, and the 98 of Jeremy Richmond. Also the 99 of Redinas right there. So we got 4 cars right there battling it out here around the corner. You see that 33 of Goodpaster really trying to put his name into the playoffs as well. Might come up just a little bit short as he's losing speed. They're down the backstretch down into corner number 3.
Goodpaster's just going to have to pull in behind Fetter Place. Hope that maybe something happens up in front, but time's quickly running out, coming on to lap 206. You really have to start putting yourself into position now. There's not a lot of time that you can really just hang around. Going to probably try to just follow Fetter Place now. These 4 drivers in front have really been working together throughout the entire season, so you start letting up now. Goodpaster goes to the high line, deciding not to follow Fetter Place, but is that going to come bite him? He's not going to be able to carry enough momentum being out on his own up there. Fetter Place going up to the high line.
Yeah, with 5 laps to go, you see Fetter Place make contact with that wall there. That's a 20-minute Home Depot machine right there. But right now, still Isaac Emerson's going to lead them down the backstretch. Has Nick Alford right behind him as well. You saw Jeremy Richmond's going to try to test that inside lane there. Wiley's going to stay right there. You saw Nick Alford take a wide stance there into the corner of 3. Big run out of the 20 there on the outside.
Yep, here they come, having been able to grab that momentum. Nick Alford gets into the back of 92, 33's up into the wall ever so slightly. 3 laps to go, not really enough time to be hanging around. You gotta go now, especially with these next gens. There's not a lot of things you can do, but Fetter Place is going to be able to elevate himself up into the first position. Goodpaster needs to get up to the lead if he wants to have any chance of winning. 92 nearly getting into this rear quarter panel, but Goodpaster is going to be able to get himself up into the second position.
And right now, folks, with 3 laps to go here, rest in peace to Dale Earnhardt. We got Goodpaster as the lead right now in that 33. Has towed his wagon there on the lapped car of the 20. Now pulling away from Isaac Emerson in the lead. Cleared the way, now digging down into corner number 3. Here comes Isaac Emerson with a huge run in that 92. Has a big run digging down into 3, but he goes wide. Lost something in that race car. That 92 is going to lose a lot of speed there on the exit of 4.
Here comes Nick Alford putting his car to the outside. Goodpaster has to then just keep it down low. Try work with Fetter Place, have the draft. He's going to be able to close up a little bit through the corner, but Nick Alford on the back straight is going to be able to gain the most time. 1.5 laps left to go. He's got the momentum on the high line. He's going to be able to clear Fetter Place. Having the help from Reginius, who gets into the back ever so slightly, pushing Alfred, keeping it all together, but Goodpaster has to, at this point, hope for...
Oh no! And you see this is the last lap. White flag is in the air as we come around 1 on the outside of 2 right now. Looks like Goodpaster's race is all about cinched right there. As you see, Nick Alfred's going to take them down the back. Just not leading the way here. Coming down into corner number 3. Still a lot to race for here, folks. You see Jeremy Richmond in the 98 is going to try to make a move right there.
Oh, no.
Oh, Goodpaster gets loose in the 33. Takes out the 99. And this race is over, ladies and gentlemen. The 95 of Nick Alfred, the boss here at Haas, comes home with the race victory here in the all-star race of the High Octane Sim Series. What a finish.
There's going to be some interesting words talked about afterwards, especially with Fetter Place being a lap car and really could have really put a big dent in the side of Nick Alford, but able to keep it all together. I didn't exactly realize Fetter Place was a lap down until had a little word in my ear about it, but gotta feel bad for Goodpaster. Went a little bit too soon and then didn't really have any help towards the end when it really mattered.
Yeah, taking a look there, Kynan. Nick heading into the playoffs next week has no wins on the season. 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s. So, as you mentioned when I joined this broadcast, if there's ever a race to win, it's definitely this all-star race here. And what a win it was there. We saw a little bit of strategy being played there with those lapped cars. We thought it was going to pay off for the 33 of Goodpasture, but it just wasn't enough speed once Nick Alfred linked up with his 90s brothers right there at the end. And once they cleared, it was about over for Goodpasture.
Yeah, unfortunately, Goodpasture didn't have really enough friends. Alfred had been really working with Jeremy Richmond and Isaac Emerson, as well as Reedania, so it was 95, 98, 92, and 99 for the top four, so the only 90 cars in the field, and yet they were able to snag 1 to 4.
And according to chat here, Paul from Facebook has said he is sorry to the 78 for getting into him. He just lost it when he came up to me. So he has apologized for his incident that brought out that last caution.
Yeah, what a finish it was there. We saw everything there at the end. We saw the determination and motivation these drivers had to win this all-star race here tonight. And what a way. I know we're going to be going into the playoffs next week, and a few of these drivers are locked in there. Didn't have any surprises here tonight. We almost did with Goodpasture up there, as well as Isaac Emerson had a shot there to crossing the line first, putting that 92 in the playoffs as well. But what a race here it was here, guys. Maybe we can catch up with our third place finish there. Isaac Emerson, who's going to finish just a tad short of the playoffs here in the High Octane Sim Series. Man, it was a bummer for him to finish outside of that lead there. We'll see if we can't bring him up here for a quick chat up here in the booth. But guys, before we do that, I wanted to ask you here just a quick recap on tonight's action. I know I joined late here, but man, from what I saw there, that was high octane throughout.
Well, you managed to catch a ride as things were starting to really heat up. Early on, we had long periods of just single file green flag running where we had green flag pit stops, people speeding in pits, which then mixed up the running order, and then we had the stage 1 caution come out. Then suddenly things started heating up a little bit, but then it calmed back down. But then right as we were getting to around lap 80, I'd say, if my memory serves me correct, then that's when caution started coming out. It was like, okay, one here, then another a little bit later on, but then suddenly, right as you showed up, everything started going to hell, and then drivers just started picking it up a notch.
Oh man, I brought the heat into the booth. But I'm going to go ahead and catch up with our third place finisher here, Isaac Emerson. And Isaac, you're going to come home third here tonight. We saw you battling it out there for the lead. As mentioned, you're going to finish just outside of the playoffs here, from my understanding, in that 92 machine. You know, a bummer that you're not going to be in the playoffs here, but you must feel a little bit confident heading into the last stretch of the season with the run here tonight.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. My teammates were trying to work with me there at the end, but I didn't have a final set of tires to take that final pit. So my tires were, 30 laps old or something like that. And I was just very tight. And they held it there for almost to the last 5 laps, but I couldn't hold it. So I got passed, and then there was people wrecking in front of me, so I was able to get third. So that's good. We have another plate track next weekend. I do like plate tracks, so hopefully I can get a win there.
Yeah, I joined this race late here. From my understanding, it was a lot of green flag runs there, but then towards the end, with about 40 or 50 laps to go, the pace and the speed really turned up there. Did you feel like there was a change of pace and a change of, let's say, high octane energy there, just a lack of words there at the end?
Yeah, that first stage, I think it went green. The second stage was only 1 or 2 cautions, and there in the last 40 or 50 laps, you could definitely feel the intensity pick up. Those guys that didn't make the playoffs like myself wanted that win, and then the guys that are going in the playoffs want that 10 extra points because that'll give them a good boost. So you can definitely feel the intensity pick up. It just sucks. I couldn't get that win.
Yeah, this is going to give you your first top 5 of this season, your third top 10 of this season so far here tonight, Isaac. I know you from last season. You raced a heck of a season last season as well here in High Octane. Going to finish just outside here, but how excited are you for your teammates there heading into the playoffs? You see Nick Alfred's up there. You see Jeremy Richmond up there as well. He's going to come into the playoffs in the second position, right behind Brandon 6. I know you're not going to be in contention, but how much of a teammate are you going to be for those boys there towards the end?
Oh, I'll definitely do what I can. Definitely next week. They were trying to, this week they were trying to get me into the win to get into the playoffs. So next week I'm going to do what I can to help them out during the playoffs. Not much I can do other than plate tracks. Maybe I'll, block somebody at like a short track or something. But other than plate tracks, there's not much I can do.
Yeah.
I'll just do what I can. They were good teammates tonight, so I'm going to do what I can for them. Nick was the regular season champion, so I think he has a good momentum going to the playoffs.
Awesome, man. Well, we head to Talladega next week. As you just mentioned, it's a plate track, so you have the opportunity to work with your teammates. Heck, we might even see that 92 in victory lane next week. But coming home third here tonight, disappointing finish just because you're not going to make the playoffs. But in any other sense, it was a good run for you here tonight. And with that podium finish, we love to give you drivers the opportunity to shout out anybody that you have watching at home, any sponsors you have on the side of that race car, or where people can find you on social media.
Yeah, definitely. My dad, I know he watches every week, even though I haven't been here every week. He still watches. My mom, my sister, I know they try to watch when they can. And then this weekend being 9/11 on Sunday, just remembering those that we lost on that fateful day, 9/11/2001.
Of course. Well, Isaac, coming home third here tonight, speaking with Isaac Emerson here, the 92 machine. Going to miss the playoffs, but just a tad there, man. Great run here at Atlanta, and I can't wait to see you next week at Talladega.
All right, awesome. Hopefully talk to you next week.
Appreciate it, man. Have a great night.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, Kynan, what a run it was for that 92. We saw him in the mix there at the end. Just not going to be enough there. He just talked about how he got slowed up just a tad by those lapped cars, maybe made the wrong pit strategy there towards the end, but it's going to be a bummer. In any other sense, a third place finish would be kind of good in a sense, but not to make the playoffs. It's definitely going to be a bummer of a night there for that 92 machine.
Yeah, you always want to win, especially when it's in a winning you're in situation. But if it was a normal race, I would be more than happy with third position. Oh wait, I can say from experience that I've had a tough week and then was able to get a top 3, but it was in for a winning you're in situation, so it was his one last shot he really had out making it into the playoffs, and just things didn't really work out for him today.
Yeah, but I believe you're catching up with his teammate there who comes home second here tonight at Atlanta Motor Speedway. We have Jeremy on the radio. Take it away, Kynan.
Hey Jeremy, do you have a copy?
Sure do.
You were sure making quite a bit of ruckus that race. How was the car handling for you?
Handling great the whole run, actually. Just trying not to do anything stupid. I wrecked on the front stretch because my tires were so old, so I got really loose on that one wreck. Feel bad for the guys that flipped. I think a car was flipping on the front stretch. But it was fun.
Correct. With you talking about the tires being old, was tire wear really a factor? We're not used to seeing tire wear on super speedways, but was Atlanta something different?
Yeah, it's because it's the hybrid of a super speedway, but your tire, once your tires start wearing, you basically have to get off the throttle, getting into the corner. Like if you run the traditional 1.5 mile line, you can get it going pretty good, but people still want to, run their line and get on the inside, so you can't really run it unless you have a train of cars doing the same thing. So it gets really hard in the middle of the pack. So you're basically plowing through the center, and then you're loose all the way through the tri-oval on the front stretch.
We saw multiple times where there would be long, strung out green flag, single file stints. Was track position really a factor? Because we saw you also being able to fly through the field.
Yeah, so I got a lap down on the first pit stop. I sped on pit road, so I was pretty aggressive. And then early on, because of how it got spaced out, I knew track position was going to be key, especially if we didn't keep having cautions. But with the track, I don't know. With it being 1.5 miles, you're not going to really make your way up from 10th to 1st in the last couple of laps. So you basically got to be on it and have that Dell Jr. strategy where you're just trying to control the field. So that was my strategy basically after that first run.
I mean, It was a good recovery after a couple little mistakes, but with you getting second place, that should give you some sort of momentum going into Talladega next week. What's your expectations for that race?
Honestly, I'm just happy to get a good finish. I feel like I run decent every week. I'm a top 5 to top 8 car every week. I get taken out a lot of times, so stuff that's out of my control, and cleaning up some of the stuff like speeding on pit road. I feel like I'll be able to make my way through the playoffs if I can control what I can control a little better, and then I have a little luck with not getting taken out by lapped cars or other people. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like I'll be decent.
I mean, you certainly have had the pace really all season long, but with that, we'll let you go. But before we do that, do you have anyone that you have to thank for helping you get out here tonight?
Yeah, Max Graphics for the awesome paint schemes as always. Salon Swank with the throwback to Alex Bowman's first win. And obviously, I got to thank my wife. She lets me do this. She's really awesome. And she actually watches the broadcast. And she loves y'all's energy. So keep up the good work. And also thank all the admins at Haas for the putting on the league.
Alrighty then. We'll let you go celebrate with your team now. Good work on second place tonight, and we'll see you hopefully next week at Talladega.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, kind of what a run it was for that team there. Jeremy Richmond's going to come home second here tonight. What a way of teamwork making the dream work there at the end. Been able to push their teammate, the 95 of Nick Alford, into victory lane there, kind. I believe we are joined by the winner of tonight's All-Star race, Nick Alford. And Nick, you're down here celebrating in victory lane here at Atlanta. The All-Star race, so the champagne is flowing, the Bud Lights are cracking open here at Atlanta. Nick, you win the race here tonight. You're going to come into the playoffs with a lot of confidence here. From what I saw there at the end, it was a lot of teamwork that really caused that 95 to cross victory lane there first. The 92 of Isaac Emerson, of course, was bummed that he's not going to be joining you guys in those playoffs. But take us through your race here tonight and what led that 95 to cross the finish line first.
I'm sorry, I got you now. You guys got me?
Yep, we got you.
Okay.
Yeah, what do you think was there's a lot of teamwork there at the end there. The 92 of Isaac Emerson, unfortunately, is not going to join you there in the playoffs. But take us through your race here tonight and what led to putting that 95 there, crossing that finish line first.
Well, so the game plan that we were running to go into tonight was we're trying to get Isaac the win so he can get to the playoffs. Our teamwork towards the end, it was great. I think Jeremy just got a big run and didn't want to turn him in the middle of the corner, so he kind of went underneath him and unfortunately took Isaac out of that, or took Zach out of that contention spot. But Isaac just had older tires, and once Fetter Place and them, they got up to us, we kind of told Isaac, like, hey man, like, sorry bro, you got to take that L, like, it's time to go. So we kind of changed up our plan and decided to push as a team, get that 1-2-3 finish.
Yeah, we saw it there at the end. Fetter Place was also racing for that. It looked like it was a good pace there, or good pass there at the end. Wanted that last playoff position as well. This wasn't enough for him either. From what I'm learning here on this race, it was sort of like a calm, cool, collected first 75% of that race. And then the high octane energy, if you will, really kicked up there at the end with about 50, 60 laps to go. Did you feel that shift in energy as well from the first half of the race to the last half?
Oh, absolutely. Nobody was really fighting for position for stages because, stage points didn't really matter here tonight. Really, once we started getting like halfway through the last stage is when the pressure started kicking up. We figured out if you run the traditional 1.5 mile line, that it conserves your tires a lot more than trying to hold the bottom and just trying to block that bottom line.
So we started doing that, and I think myself and a couple other guys, we kind of got a good 4-second lead until that caution came out. But other than that, like, we had a good race. I'm actually impressed with the level of racing we had tonight.
Yeah, I as well. I joined late at lap 147, but just the competitiveness I saw there at the end. A few of you drivers got loose, you got into each other, but you're able to save those race cars, which is the most important thing. Shows the driver skill of you guys as well with these next gens. But Nick, you finally cracked through here. I was speaking with Kynan there in the booth. If there's ever a win to crack through, it is the All-Star race, because you're going to head into those playoffs with a lot of momentum. You're one of the most consistent drivers so far this season. You got 7 top 5s, 8 top 10s there on this season with 1 victory now. Going to go ahead and race that 0 there off that grid. So heading into the first week of the playoffs there at Talladega, we just spoke with your teammate Jeremy Richmond and Isaac Emerson. They both feel like that you were the regular season champ going into that you might have the most momentum once these playoffs start.
Man, I hope so. This is actually my first race I've ever won in this league. So for all those guys in the comments on the streams, like, oh, Haas is rigged or anything like that, you guys are witnesses. This is my first win after 3 seasons. This thing ain't rigged. I promise you that. I've taken more L's than anyone else in this league. So I'm happy with it. I'm proud that we worked as a team at the end. It definitely gave us good data and good practice for next week at Talladega.
Yeah, and that's going to be a confidence booster heading into that first week at Talladega. But looking past Talladega, just looking at the schedule there briefly, it looks like you guys hit a road course in the mix there as well. A lot of tough tracks to end this season out here. What are some of the tracks looking past Talladega that you're really confident in, that if you can put that 95 car in victory lane there once again, that you can maybe take home that championship?
Oh man, probably. I think my two ones that I'll be really good at is Kentucky and Dover. Kentucky is a really fun track to race. A lot of different lines you can run there, and then Dover is just a good fun short track. So I'm excited for both of them. Not so excited for Sonoma. I'm gonna have to put a lot of practice in for there. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, everybody's favorite track there at Sonoma. But Nick, before we let you go here, I just asked you a little while ago. We had you up in the booth briefly there as you took them to that start-finish line there to restart things off here. What's your take, as you're the admin here? This is your baby, if you will, the High Octane Sim Series. What's your take? What's your recap of the season here as we head into the playoffs? And how excited are you for these playoffs? Because you see your competitiveness is at an all-time high.
Yeah, this season's been more highs than lows for the whole league. We've definitely learned a lot, and we're going to be implementing a lot of things coming into season 4 that we've learned works and doesn't work during this season. So we're excited to get those out and get those put out to the rest of the league. I'm not going to spoil anything yet. But yeah, it's definitely been fun. It's definitely it's been a lot of wild rides for sure.
Oh yeah, a wild ride it was here tonight. Speaking with Nick Alford, the winner here at Atlanta, the All-Star race of the High Octane Sim Series, and we're going to kick off those playoffs next week at Talladega. You're going to lead the way into those playoffs, being the regular season champ and the winner here tonight. I believe you're going to carry some bonus points into the playoffs as well, so what a confidence booster that be there in the week number 1 of the playoffs. But Nick, before we let you go, get back to victory lane there, crack open some more Bud Lights and celebrate there in victory lane here at Atlanta. We love to give you drivers the opportunity to shout out anybody that you have watching here tonight, any sponsors on the side of that race car, or where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, give a shout out to Coastal Pacific Marketing for being on the car, Max Graphics for doing the paints for all the JKRM team, W Energy, of course, Captain Jack's Smokehouse, as always. Just the whole JW Racing and JKRM team.
There we go. And Nick, big congratulations from us here at 10 Broadcasting. As mentioned, you win the All-Star race here tonight. you head into the playoffs as the regular season champ. And it sounds like from your teammates, you're going to be the odds-on favorite to win the overall championship here in your league in season number 3. Nick, big congratulations, man, and I can't wait to talk with you next weekend at Talladega.
Thank you, guys.
That was Nick Alford there winning the race here at Atlanta. And of course, I joined late here on the broadcast, and a few of the drivers kind of mentioned to me, as you mentioned there in the booth, the energy and the high octane-ness of this race didn't really kick in there towards the end, but once it did, it got crazy there at the end.
Yeah, luckily we were able to tick off those early laps, be able to just run it clean. Then right as things started to heat up in that final stage, then they weren't able to cause a massive wreck either. So all around, it was a massive positive, especially compared to previous races. They've had difficult times, especially at New Hampshire, Martinsville, and could even say Richmond, just having a hard time with a lot of cautions. But tonight at a super speedway and a unique super speedway, being able to keep it all clean is a massive positive, especially ahead of what's going to be a very interesting race next week for the first round of the playoffs here in the High Octane Sim Series.
Yeah, taking a look at the official results here, we're going to finish with about 6 cars on the lead lap. But Kyan, I'll throw it to you to go ahead and round out those official results, as I'm still getting to pronounce some of these names, and I just don't want to butcher them here live on the air.
Nick Alford was finally able to break through that bad luck and be able to put his 95. For some reason, I'm trying to say Chevrolet Camry, which doesn't make any sense, but Camaro into victory lane, followed by Jeremy Richmond after having a couple of mistakes this race, still able to bring it home into second. Isaac Emerson in third. Zach Reed Denias fourth. Good passer, almost managed to get up into the win, but gonna have to settle with fifth. Edward Marshall, after multiple issues really early on in the race, able to bring it home sixth. Better place, who we thought was the leader for a moment, but unfortunately will have to settle for seventh. Phil Lobos, eighth. Bojanic, ninth. Cunningham, 10th. Janisek, 11th. Robert Ballard Jr., after flipping, will finish 12th. Hatlin will finish 13th. Ward, after having issues early, or really throughout the entire race, even though small until we got into the wall hard, will finish 14th. Schaefer, who was also involved, 15th. William Britton having a couple issues, will have to just settle with 16th after looking competitive, but our stage 2 winner, Michael Call, had looked like could have been in there in the end, but ultimately gonna have to settle with just 17th, and then Christopher Miller gonna have to round up in 18th.
Yeah, and that is our official results here at the All-Star Race of the High Octane Sim Series. Looks like we have a few more drivers there. We got Jack Wilkinson there at the bottom in the 19th position, and then Eric Control there down at the bottom. That's a race control right there at the end here, folks. But that is the conclusion of the High Octane Sim Series All-Star Race. Kynan, the heat really kicks on next week as we head up to Alabama, the Talladega Super Speedway up there. Cannot wait for week 1 of the playoffs, as you see that Nick Alford's going to lead them into the playoffs as a regular season champ. The winner here at Atlanta just spoke about how this is season 3 of his league, just picked up his first win ever in his own series. Kynan, he's going to be the odds-on favorite to take home that trophy here in the next 4 weeks.
Oh, for sure. He's had the consistency to be up there this entire race and this entire season. So having finally broken through into victory lane, it's going to give him a massive confidence boost and be able to hopefully give him some very strong momentum, especially when it matters most.
Yes, sir. But a big congratulations to that 95 car of Nick Alford. It's going to go 1, 2, 3, all teammates there to finish this thing out. But a special shout out to sponsors here in the High Octane Sim Series: W Energy, Captain Jack Smokehouse, High Octane Energy, that Captain Jack Smokehouse. They're always bringing that great barbecue there, as always. W Energy as well. Looks like we have Octane as well. W Energy, can't go wrong with W there. I love those flavors they have there at W Energy. And as we look at the playoffs there, folks, those sponsors have played a key role in the broadcast, maintaining this lead, making sure all of these things happen for you folks at home. But for all of us here at 10-4 Broadcasting, myself, William Tiller, Kynan Jones, Mike Maddox behind there running this thing on production. We want to, again, thank you all for tuning in here tonight. We'll see you next week live right here on 10-4 Broadcasting to kick off the playoffs here in the High Octane Sim